Okay, so we are live now here. This is the first of many series. I'm calling it Coffee Talk with Vicky Pizzarelli. This series is pretty much based on other real estate professionals, helping real estate professionals, and kind of educating and helping each other and discussing issues or maybe niches that we might have. And one of my first guests, and I'm very proud to say that is here with us, is Don Wilson from Prospecting Intelligence. And I've known Don for a long time, and I'm really happy to have him as my first guest. And he is an accomplished author of "Where's Your Whoopee?" Is that? I'm sorry, was that?
It's close.
and
It's what your would be, but people still have no idea what the heck that
and
means.
and I know the story, so I'm going to let Don tell you the story about it. It's really very interesting, and we'd also like to know before we get started a little bit something about you personally and something that we might not know about you.
Oh
So it's all
boy.
yours, Don.
How long you have 30 minutes for this today? Um, first of all, we've known each other for quite a while. So I have to start by saying thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you a little bit. It means the world to me when people are interested what's going on in this twisted head of mine and 25 years in this industry. But I really appreciate it, Vicky. Thank you. You set the bar low, right? Not, no, just upwards from here. So let's see, where do I begin? So prior to um, my big boy job, when I got hired in the mortgage industry, I was a full time musician. I went to Bryant University and also got my master's degree there in marketing. But while I was doing that, my uncle had approached me to say, hey, I'd like to make a little extra money. I know you're into the '80s metal bands, Donnie, but you're gonna buy an acoustic guitar, and I'm gonna teach you some other stuff. And I think we could play a little bit. Long story short, it was one of the most amazing times of my life. We played all over New England. You name a college, we performed there. And with my uncle Ed as an acoustic duo, I think it was the Family Voices kind of went together. And then it just got to the day where I was just sick of playing American Pie and Brown Eyed Girl and
Classics.
and Piano Man, and it was okay. And I got hired by Champion Mortgage as a sales guy, as a mortgage professional back in 1997. And it's a very important. I still have the bag up there. You can't see it; it's out of frame from when I got hired. But it was a very important part of my career because if you got hired into this industry at Champion, you got training like you got nowhere else. And most of it was about service quality and, leads and prospects and clients. These are human beings, Vicky.
Yeah.
That's what they would say to you. And it's your job to find that link, that emotional link to these people. Because once you create that type of relationship, they become your sales force, your clients for life. And that was my intro to the mortgage industry and real estate industry. That's not what it became, right? Like, I'm going to cold call you during dinner, sell you a payment option arm. Maybe you don't even understand it. I'm going to make a ton of money. I'm going to move on to the next one. You're going to lose your house. That's your problem. And that was not the way we were brought up in the biz. It was a very special place and got some amazing training and got great mentors. I think the cool thing that, I'm very blessed with in my story is that little crew of people that got hired in our 20s and worked together. We've been together ever since. And my buddy Dave Curry, who we got hired at the same time, he one day said, listen, I think I want to try to start a mortgage company and try to do something special in this industry around here. I see a need out there. And a few of us said, all right, let's do it. Let's try. And he started Province Mortgage Associates in 2005, right before the world fell apart,
Yeah, the big
right? Yeah, I mean, we dealt with so much crazy adversity, the market crash, '07, '08, subprime lending crisis, and the evolution of the nationwide mortgage licensing system and all this change and regulation. And I sit back and I go, wow, we really shouldn't be here 17 years later, but we are. And I think a lot of it has to do with that original first impression, Vicky, which was it's all about people. That is what this company's always been about. And I got out of mortgage origination when my son was born with heart disease, my third child back in 2009, and he's 13, by the way, now. And I evolved into doing our marketing, some sales coaching. I became like our trainer out there in the community, and it became a great spot for me. I really truly love that stuff and what I do. And in 2018, I started to get asked to do things outside of our company, outside of our purview. And I went to Dave one day. I said, "Hey, bro," it was like probably on the golf course. "How do you feel about me starting a separate like sales brand on the side?" And he's like, "That's what you're supposed to be doing. As long as you could do everything we need you to do here, give it a shot." And I started Prospecting Intelligence in 2018. And I was had my first speaking gig outside of New England. It was in Kansas, and of all states, I went to Kansas. Was the first place I went. I was afraid of tornadoes, of course, and I did my routine with my whoopee, from childhood. And someone said, I think that would make a pretty cool book. Why don't you try writing a book? And I'm like, well, I really don't like to read. Should I be writing a book? Even though I have all these books behind me, I think those are props. Um, so I gave it a shot, and I literally put everything on the pages, my success, my failure. I brought in all of my best mentors and told all the stories. And I was fortunate that I got a TED talk from the book, a TEDx at Bryant University. And we're on the stage 2/22/20. Just
Right
do
in
the
the
math when
midst.
that was.
Yeah.
And and then lockdown happened and the book came out in June and like no one cared. It was like the worst timing. But yeah, all of a sudden I became a speaker without a stage. It was a wild type of thing, but things have evolved now. So Province Mortgage Associates, marketing director, prospecting intelligence, author, sales educator, and speaker and coach. And I have a third venture as well, where I'm on the executive team for a really upcoming networking organization called Networking Group USA, where our model is really based on, not on obligation, but much more on opportunity and trust and great people. So there's the whole story. I
Yes,
think
well,
our 30 minutes are over.
you left one thing out. You got some bragging rights here with your daughter.
Oh yeah. So I have three children. Jacob is my youngest. I mentioned him already. Jocelyn is a senior this year. She's looking at colleges. She's a soccer player. She's a tremendous athlete. A lot of people know about Delaney. So Delaney in 2021 was working for a local influencer uh, and got a summer job working for her, doing social media work and video editing. And she would babysit the kids in between sometimes. And this woman filmed Delaney singing to her daughter, and it was 100% true and organic. Like Delaney didn't know she was filming her. She was singing a Little Mermaid song, and she got Delaney's permission to post it. And even Delaney was a little apprehensive about posting it. And then the next day, they woke up to 3 million views, and American Idol was on the phone by noontime. It was wild. And, television shows all over the world. Paula Abdul called about doing yeah, it was just wild overnight. And it's a little tough for me to say because it's pretty recent, but she just moved to LA.
Yeah, yeah, let your little birdie fly.
Yeah. And look, I was lucky where I was very fortunate to have some success as a cover musician, playing everyone else's music around New England, made me some money and helped pay my mom and dad back for college. That's not what she wants. She has this tremendous head start, and she's been working at this since she was a little kid. More than the average singer, trust me. You had lived here to know that. Have you ever been to a Christmas Carol, Cricky, Vicky at Trinity Rep?
Yes, we have. Yeah.
Okay, Dee was in that 2 years in a row. 70 shows, working with full time professionals. Like she had some amazing training. So yeah, she's going for it, man. And
Good.
I wish her nothing but the
Congratulations.
best. Yeah.
So tell us a little, what would you like to get out of this interview today? Like what do you suggest for people that are in the real estate business or business in general? Everything's shifting the way we do things. I know you have a ton of great ideas. I can talk to you for hours. What would you like to let people know?
Well, I you can't be with a year like 2022. I've been around now for 25 years in the business. So I dealt with 9/11, right? Dealt with the crashes of '07 and '08 and a pandemic. Yeah, it's crazy what we've seen.
Yeah.
But 2022 for real estate and mortgages has been pretty tough to beat as far as difficulty. And you can't sit back here and say, "Oh, it's going to be fine. Oh, it's going to be okay. Just keep doing what you're doing." You lose credibility instantly. This has not been easy. And I have a prop for you because you know I love props when I
Oh,
do
yeah.
sales education. This is a poop sandwich. You know, it's two pieces of bread. It is not real, but we all had to eat a giant poop sandwich this year, and it happens all the time in industries where you're mostly or all commission based, and your success is truly connected and dependent on your own ability to drive referral business every day. And there's a lot we couldn't control, Vicky, this year.
I know.
You just can't control some of these things. So I think what I would offer you and your listeners as an answer to that question is controllables. And that's what I wrote a lot about in the book is, you know, at the core concept of the book is change. And um, if you're going to improve, something needs to change, right? You
Right.
can't be doing the same stuff. If the landscape is changing, especially like this year, and you're not changing and evolving with it, how can you expect to get results that are different? So I'm focusing a lot on controllables with a lot of people I'm coaching and a lot of the speaking gigs I've been doing. For me, it's three big pieces that go to that. It would be number one, your attitude. Not easy to control. You know, I've read articles where the average American is waking up after the last couple of years at like 70% mental capacity. And then we watch the news,
Oh, yeah, we were just discussing that.
right? And then it goes a little, so you're starting your day at like 50%. And what do
Right.
we have to do? We have to prospect, we have to have conversations. We got to be uplifting. Pretty tough to do.
It could be depressing
So
day out like that.
yeah, and the reality is, I'm a big Stephen Covey fan. Of all the books I've read, which is not a ton, I've probably read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People 10 times. Attitude dictates behavior. End of story. So whatever you can do, to get your attitude right, failure and adversity have to become your allies right now. We can't be living the life of a victim. We just can't. Um, and our ability to learn and evolve. So attitude becomes big. I have a vision board back there that you can't see of all the things that matter most to me. And we all struggle. And I turn to that and turn to other ways to help me. It's very personal to me, overcome the downs so I can get back into the game. So I think attitude is one. Two would be our activity. That's the second thing we can control.
I think a lot of people don't realize how important that is either.
Right. I mean, you get up every day and what's your plan? Because in our industry, in my opinion, if you're not having conversations all day, you should lose your voice by the end of the day. I can't imagine you're going to find your next buyer or seller.
No,
If,
I mean, I always say we wake up unemployed every single day.
yeah, that's a great way to say it. But again, I'm not going to be hypocritical in that. Yeah, I didn't wake up some days and struggle with prospecting. Um, but prospecting activity, that reaching out, that swimming out to the boat, not waiting for it to slowly roll into shore when the tide and the wind is just right. And we can reach out in a lot of different ways. Grabbing the phone, happy birthday. I can't believe it's been this long since we spoke. Conversation, texting. A lot of people respond to texting, not selling in texts. I'd love to have a conversation.
Right.
Facebook Messenger, 97% response rate. You send someone a Facebook message, they will respond. And whatever we can do to reach out and have conversation, I think is so big. I think the referral ask piece is another very big part of that. I can share that. You want me to share the Whoopi story really quick?
I do want you to share the Whoopi story.
All right. So I've been training real estate professionals. Honestly, I stopped counting when I hit 100 offices. And I have tremendous admiration for you guys and how hard it is what you do, to make a living, buying and selling, and helping people invest in real estate. But one of my favorite topics was the concept of referral. So I would take out a business card and I'd go, okay, I want you guys to tell me if you think I'm asking for referrals. Ready, Vicky?
Yep.
Hey, Vicky, so great to see you today. Truly was a pleasure meeting you. I think we're very clear on the next steps that we have right now. But one more important thing, I'm a professional and my business is done by referral. So here's my card. If you know anyone who could use my help, would you mind passing that on for me? Thank you. And 70, 80% of the hands always go up and go, of course you asked. You passed a business card. And I'm like, okay, I understand why you feel that way. But as I observed business, when we left Champion Mortgage finally, and I couldn't talk to any of those clients, I had no network. All I had was like a black date, like it was a black book, it was day planner. And at the back, I had names and numbers. That's all I had of people I knew. I'd start to get out there and network, and I'm like, everyone just thinks passing a card is asking for something. Why do they feel that way? So in that moment, that first time I did this, I'm like, passing a business card's like the whoopee from that movie, Mr. Mom, which is one of my favorite movies. It's from the early 80s, and the dad loses his job.
I remember.
Remember, it was 80s, okay? And the mom becomes the marketing executive, and he becomes Mr. Mom at home with the kids. And he's a train wreck at first. And in his arc, he has to sit little Kenny down because Kenny can't go anywhere without his whoopee. And for him, it was his security blanket. It was like tattered and ripped and shredded. And he sits Kenny down and he goes, "Hey, Ken, what's up, Ace? You and I have to a man-to-man talk here about your whoopee, buddy. Your whoopee's looking bad. Ken, listen, I know you little guys, you grow up with your whoopies and all, and they're great. They are. But pretty soon, whoopie's not enough. You're out on the streets trying to score an electric blanket or maybe even a quilt. Sooner or later, you're strung out on bedspreads, Kenny. That's serious." And it's always been one of my absolute favorite father-son scenes of all time. What is our whoopee? Did you have one, Vicky, by the way? Did you have a stuffed animal? Did you have a security blanket?
I had a pillow that I absolutely loved, and I had it all the way up until I was an adult and had kids, and then ex-husband threw it away, and it was like I was like, "How could you throw my pillow away?"
Oh boy.
He
Um,
was throwing away.
well, what did your pillow bring to you?
Security.
Security and comfort, right? So that's the point. Change is uncomfortable. Asking another human being for a referral, even though it's our job, it's uncomfortable, right? So we do something more comfortable instead. Let me give you a card. I'm going to run in the other direction, and hopefully you call me back someday. If the card is not all folded and wrinkled and full of lint, just flick it off. And so that was the original joke that I made about it. And I took that one core concept of the whoopee and the referral ask, and I started to apply it to all kinds of things in business that I experienced or experienced through others. And that's what he became. He became, those things we know we need to do to improve, but we tend to keep avoiding it. Why? Because change is uncomfortable, but it's necessary for improvement. So that's what he became, and that's where the book went, and that's where the title's from, because no one has any idea what that means. But back to the controllables, as far as activity, that referral ask controllable is a big deal. And the way I used to do it in a very specific way, it took me a long time to figure out, how am I going to ask on the very first phone call? Because we had come up with so many reasons, like when we should ask. We got to wait for it to close. Well, if it doesn't close, so I never asked, and it's my job. So as soon as we start to reason when to ask, it's like you just never do it. So I just said, I'm going to do it all the time. But if I'm going to do that, it has to be a way that's very specific to me. It has to be sincere. It has to be very Don Wilson. I have to show that I care. And that's what I eventually developed, a little acronym about how I would ask. It's called FEAR. I'd ask for feedback first. How did I do on the call today? and it gave
Right.
me a chance to say thank you for the feedback. Then I would explain how I make a living, and then I would say, "So, who do you care about, Vicky, that I can help for you today?" And every part of the sentence had a purpose. It wasn't if you know of someone, it's who do you care about, not everyone, that I can help for you today. And it was really a service to them in my head. A lot of that had to come way before that ask was developed. It had to be about developing that attitude in my head that, look, there was a lot of people in my mortgage career in the past that were ruining people's lives. That's not something I'm going to do. So if I don't ask them for a referral and someone Vicky cares about refers them to somebody else and they screw their lives up with the mortgage choices, that was my fault because I didn't ask.
Right.
So it became a very big part of that controllable piece of activity. And then the third thing I said attitude, I said activity would be ultimately your habits. Habits are truly important if you're a referral based business, and good habits survive any market. Referral ask is one, good prospecting habits. I How about a habit like always have a next step that's in your control? If you're always giving the next step away, even if you do a nice listing appointment and they say, well, we're going to have to get back to you. And if you leave like that, who's got the next step?
The next person.
Right. And
Yeah.
you're waiting now on the client. So, I was always about how can I create a next step that's in my control? Even if someone said no to me, I would show them complete respect for that, make sure they didn't have any other objections or questions that I couldn't figure out or answer. And I'd say, well, what I'm going to do, if you don't mind, as a little additional service to you, is I'm just going to follow up with you in a week. Would it be okay if I just checked in with you just to make sure that what you're being promised is being delivered? And then I could put something in my calendar to do. If I don't have a next step in my control, I always felt like I don't have much. Even in networking, right? This is another one of my favorite props. Where is it? Oh yeah.
You're like Gallagher.
I'm the Gallagher of sales training.
Right?
You see this? How many people have one of these? It's just got so many business. You don't use it for coffee anymore. It's for
Right.
business cards, and this becomes your CRM, your customer relationship management system. And networking, I've seen it's just a quest for how many business cards I can gather, but you have zero next steps with any of these people. So instead, go to an event with a purpose, and as you're sincere and building rapport and engaging people, hey, you know what? I had so much fun in this 5-minute conversation. Let me put a little next step in my phone. I'd really like to continue our chat. What time would be good on Monday? I'll just reach out quick and just so we can kind of take it from there. How does that sound? Now I have something, not just a business card that gets thrown in the cup and then you forget to email them 2 weeks later.
And there's so many
Yeah.
people that don't do that. They collect the business cards and you never hear from them again.
Yeah, it's almost like networking becomes extracurricular activity.
Exactly.
Everyone's supposed to network, right? So for Networking Group USA, I'm the chapter education director, and so I do a lot of training on how networking can be extracurricular, or you can do it with more focus and purpose, which means that it's truly a part of your business plan. So if you're a real estate professional, you have a goal to do X amount of transactions in a year, and I'm in a networking group. Well, how many of those transactions come from that group? Did you ever create a goal with the group? Because you have to invest time. It's not I know I have one. It's not a magic wand. Okay. You know,
I'm
you
not
know,
surprised you don't have one of those.
right. They don't work. So you're going to invest this time. You choose how you invest your time and with whom you invest it every single day. So shouldn't you have a goal with your networking activity? So network with more focus and purpose. I don't have time for a 2-hour Panera meeting. And if I'm gonna go to a business after hours, I used to wear a drinking hat, when I did a training about it, like, hey, that's business after hours, right? I'm supposed to have 20 drinks and get 20 business cards, but I don't really have much. Instead, I go in with a focus and a purpose, and strive to create next steps with other people so I can proactively build my business. You know, um, I the last thing I'll say on that is life changes, right? It's a lot different at 52 than when I was 27 and started in the business. You know, kid number one comes along, time gets shorter. Kid number two comes along, a little less time. Kid number three with heart disease came along, right? And I have to be very, very purposeful with my time. And it doesn't mean all of a sudden I'm robotic and miserable. I'm still Don. I'm still going to try to make you laugh, build genuine rapport. But I'm blessed with a ton of friends. I need business partners. We become friends like you and me, but I need people that are genuinely interested in building business together. That's a two-way street, you know?
Right.
So the controllables, attitude, activity, and ultimately habits. And by the way, they take 60 to 90 days to create, not 21. That's a myth. I researched that.
It's ama no, it's true. It's amazing how many people, especially when you people just jumping into this industry and in anything in sales, um, you have to have the right mindset. You really do, and you have to have those 3 points of quality of thing activities to be doing all the time, every day. I don't think any people that are in our business for even a long time, I don't think they do it, and then when we have a market that we're in now, people are like, "Oh, everything stopped," because you stopped doing those 3 important things, and they're just so important to do, and I don't think a lot of people realize how important it is, and, I know you teach a lot more in depth about all this, and, you've even come to my office and did a whole training on that, and we actually had more business people than realtors there that day, I
Yeah.
remember. So it was kind of amazing, and I thought it was really great, and it was a lot of people got a lot out of it, and I love your props first of all, and you guys, if nobody's ever seen Don speak, like tell us how people can reach out to you to get more information about you. Number one, and if nobody's ever actually been to one of Don's events, you really should go and make the time. You don't have to be in real estate to go. It just be somebody that's in business and wants to develop your business skills better. It's really entertaining. It's not boring, and I value Don's professionalism and his opinions very much. Like I said, I've known you for a long time, and he's been to my office several times to speak, and everybody's gotten something out of it, and I really enjoy having you with
Oh,
us.
I really appreciate it. Well, if you want to reach out to me, you can find me on social media on Facebook, Don Wilson Prospecting Intelligence. My website is prospectingintel.com. If you want to see the TED Talk, you can go to YouTube and look up TEDx, Don Wilson, Bryant U. Um, and yeah, I appreciate it, Vicky. You know, I use the props because adults learn in different ways. And how many times have you seen people go to trainings? And I don't care if it's Don Wilson in front of a small team or Tony Robbins in front of a stadium, and then they leave and they do what? Nothing. So I try to give them the best shot at remembering something that helps them to take some type of action to do something different than when they walked in. So that's why I tend to use them. And I like to use humor a lot because I don't know about you, but if I'm not having a little bit of fun, I'm not learning much. You
No,
know?
I get bored very easy, so I enjoy your way of teaching. There's been trainings I've been at, I've actually fallen asleep at. So,
Yeah.
when you feel yourself, you're about to nod off, so
Sure.
and it's hard. You fight yourself going to those kind of events. How does anybody, if they want to get a copy of your book, how do they go about getting that?
Sure, you can find it on Amazon. If you look it up on Amazon, "What's Your Whoopee," you will see it. I'm putting a big event together right now that looks like it's going to come together now for November, where myself and another speaker, we developed a brand new presentation together called "The Fight for Referrals: Two Completely Different Ways to Win," because we have completely conflicting views on it, which is fun for the people to watch because we literally fight. Respectfully, but we fight,
Yeah,
you
remember
know?
you telling me about it. I'd like to go
Yeah.
to that one. That sounds very good.
Yeah, but, you know, walking off here today again, just ending exactly like we started, I can't thank you enough as, you know, a fellow colleague out there fighting the fight out there for 2022. It's been so tough, but if there's one piece of advice I could give anyone that has nothing to do with business, one of the things I've always tried to talk about with my kids is just try to make a stranger smile every day. Make someone smile. You have no idea what that can do for another human being right now. And that phrase "living the dream" was not created to drag everyone down. Oh, living the dream, having a
Mhm.
great year. It's not your job to drag other people down with you. Find those ways to get your attitude and your brain right and lift people up. Just make someone smile. Learn a couple of jokes. There's a couple of
I
easy ones.
I agree. Life's too short to be unhappy, you know,
Yeah.
and our job in our industry is to make people happy.
Agreed. And that's ultimately what's most fun for us. I think that's why we choose to do it. 85% of this people who work, they go to a job and they get paid. They don't know there's like crazy people like us who don't get paid unless a loan closes or, you
Unless you
know,
make somebody happy.
yeah, right. So, and it's all worth it when it does. It's all worth the work.
Well, I appreciate your time, and I'm sure everybody else on here. We have some thumbs up and some likes here, and we got a thumbs up for controlling the next step. So,
Cool.
again, if you want to reach out to Don Wilson, his website is actually under his name. It's prospectingintel.com, and you can find his book. Where's my whoopee? Right? Um,
What's your whoopee?
I always get screwed that up.
They both apply. It means the same thing.
We know where your whoopee is. He's right there with you.
Yeah, right. That's right. He's here. He's
On
always here.
Amazon, or I'm sure there's a link on your, I know there's a link on
Yeah,
your, website as well,
there is.
and, I really suggest check it out. He's got some great information on there, and I would definitely look forward to going to your next event. I wanna see that
Awesome.
fight.
Awesome. I intend on winning. Just
I know you will. Well, thank you, everybody, and, I appreciate your time, and everybody have a great day.
thank you so much, Vicky. Take care.
Thanks.